Okay, we are so glad to be here today. We are live with Jeni Long and her puppy dogs in the car. They're so sweet. What a great little distraction back there. And we cannot wait to chat with her about Magic School. If you do not know Jeni Long, you need to know her. She's amazing. We reference her as the queen of Magic School. She's been with Magic School since pretty much the beginning, right? And has been an educator for over 25 years. And every time we get a chance to talk to her, we learn 10 new things. So we can't wait for you to learn, right along with us today. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We have between all of us a lot of ideas to share and things that maybe you can take away and use tomorrow in the classroom. But I think a good starting point is, it's called Magic School, but I've seen some misunderstandings that people think it's called that because the AI is magic. But I think Magic School has done a really good job of helping everybody understand that it's all about the person, right? It's about the teachers using it and bringing the magic to the students. And that's been really important for us to help our students understand that it will only work as good as we interact with it on our end, as far as prompting goes and being very descriptive and specific. So I think it's really important to add the human touch is so important to this whole process. And that's really the magic with Magic School. So let's talk a little bit about, AI is this amazing collaborator and what we can do on the adult side with it just helps with so much of the heavy lifting. But Jeni, based on your experience seeing Magic School from the beginning and where it is now, what makes you kind of the most excited for what is to come with Magic School?
Oh, goodness. I think it's funny, like when I reflect, you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. When I reflect on like this time last year, we were just talking about this morning. We had our first team retreat kind of around early spring last year, and there were about 17 on the team, and now I think we're close to 100. So just learning from other people on the team is just like mind-boggling to me. We have so many super qualified people just building on the back end that you can't even imagine what's happening back, in behind the scenes. I mean, I'm sure you can because you've seen the product of what is being produced, but I mean, we didn't even have a student platform last year, so we were kind of getting ready to launch that for our students, and we knew that was a great need. And now being able to see the way, I love seeing you guys sharing all the time how you're using it with the littles. Like, that's unbelievable, from little to big, all the way even to higher ed. We have higher ed students, and I talked to some professors last week too, and they're using it in their classes. Like, it's just amazing to see the transformation. And just recently, when we launched our enterprise tools, where you can now use that RAG technology to create these really, really robust chatbots for like handbooks or board meeting minutes or curriculum documents. Like, it's just the beginning. It's going to be incredible this year. I'm super excited to see what else is coming. Student insights. I'm sure you guys have dove in and looked at the student insights on how you can get those reports now for what students are doing. It's just, it's so exciting.
It is. And I love that your team is growing, and it's growing with educators. And so they understand what teachers are going through and what's needed in the classroom. And I think I can speak for all of us in saying that, Magic School does such a great job taking input and hearing ideas and then running with it. I mean, we were lucky enough to have a dinner with you not too long ago with some of your engineers. And I feel like we're all sharing ideas and their wheels are spinning. And so I think there are very few products and companies out there that really do that deeply care about educators and what we need, and really do listen to continue to reform the product to make it even better. So I know we're all super appreciative of that. Ladies, anything for you to add on this before we move on?
Well, I was just going to say, I think that what's so special about Magic is that we are still the ones in control as a teacher and can really encourage our students and observe what they're doing in a safe environment. But they still get to explore what they need to explore in order to build on their learning and be ready for the next thing that's coming in technology, right? So they can continually build on that, but in a safe manner. And I think that when we have the image generator with the littles, that it's just such a great resource for them to help teach them how to generate something. What kind of details do I need to put in, and what kind of wording I need to put in because it didn't generate the right image that they were looking for. And I think that's another great place to start for those who are in lower grades.
Yeah, and I will say, teaching high school science, I work with a lot of vendors for a lot of things, including, things for lab. And I'm always very appreciative working with people, like Karisa said, that listen to us. I feel I'm always really thankful that when you can call a phone number and you get a person that understands, oh, you're having trouble with this lab. And I feel like Magic has kept, even as you continue to grow, you guys have kept that where I feel like you are our partner. For people that haven't used Magic, I cannot believe every time I get on, there's more stuff. Like it's a constant. I bet you a year ago, there was half the amount of tools in there. The thing I wanted to kind of add here about Magic that has been the most surprising to me in the last year, and the ladies and I have talked about it a lot. I never would have dreamed how it would have helped me understand how kids think. Because, and I put this picture on here intentionally of the student rooms, because I can go in and see what they're doing. At first I thought, well, I won't use this. I'm not going to monitor them. They're high school kids. And it actually, Magic kind of shuts them down when they do things they shouldn't anyway. But it is really interesting to follow the pattern of questions they use. It is very interesting to see the kinds of things they want a helper for. And it's been very interesting to see them evolve with which tools they like to do what on. Like, I think you would think, every time they're studying for a quiz, they want to use QuizMe. They're not actually like that. They like the research tool. A lot of them have shifted like totally to Dayna. I think they they feel like they're talking to a person more, and there's more flexibility. So for me, being able to go in and see, because they don't always talk to us and they don't ask us questions a lot, but they will start and then they will ask a good follow-up. Well, but I don't understand this part. Can you do this? And all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, now I lost them here. And so that was to me really, really an eye-opener, getting to get in there, the kids' heads and kind of
I've told a lot of people that since you mentioned that. I think that is so powerful to help with misconceptions and to really help drive your instruction. Like, what a great way to use it. Instead of trying to catch the kids doing something they're not supposed to be doing, flip it to, how can this help inform my instruction?
Go ahead, Jeni.
I was just going to say, I love that too, because a lot of times, and we've said this before in situations like this, where you're not going to get the student to raise their hand and ask you, but they might type it out, right? And have that conversation where they're maybe too afraid to ask the teacher, but then they feel comfortable in this type of situation asking those questions. So I feel like you're going to see different personalities and different strengths from different students that you wouldn't normally see in just a raise your hand or, talk to your neighbor, but you're going to see some of that. And with that new student insights piece, you're going to really be able to get some, really good information from those results too. So I love that you brought that out.
Yeah, and it gives them access at home. I think we can't ever downplay how important that is, because it's different than just having a computer at home or Googling at home. Like, I got some kids that told me this week that they have found the apps to help with doing math have been huge in there. Awesome. And some of them have Dayna help them do the math. And they're like, it's 11 o'clock at night and I'm stuck. Or I don't understand a concept at all, what we're doing in pre-cal, and I just ask her to make it relevant. And the translators for my MLs, there's just a lot of gifts to kids that I do think bring some magic back to school, because they are not siloed by, I don't have anyone home that can help me in my homework, or I'm scared to speak up, or I don't understand the language. And so for me, it's been a tool that's really broadened my classroom and really helped equalize it, I think maybe is a good word, for every kid in the room.
And breaking down those barriers, so we don't know what obstacles they have, but this really kind of makes that playing field equal. Yep, I love that.
Well, and I was going to add, with some of my kids, they go in with full curiosity, right? They're ready to ask the chatbot every question in the world on a topic or who they want to talk to. But then other kids kind of come in thinking, I don't know what to ask, but I want to talk to this particular character or this particular thing to learn more. And when I pull up their questions, then the other kids can say, oh, this person asked this. They can see that on the big screen. They asked this question, or I'll start pointing out, oh, great question. I'm glad that you asked that. And then I'll state the question, and then that helps other kids drive what they're thinking and be able to ask more questions when they are talking to a chatbot, or helps give them some kind of direction.
I love that. So I think our advice is just get started. But what I've helped a lot of teachers understand is, don't get so caught up in the AI. Focus on your lesson or your theme or your objective. And, you're going to teach about plants. Well, now you can infuse character chatbot, and they can chat with a naturalist, or they can chat with a park ranger. So find creative ways to insert it into what you're already doing, instead of getting so bogged down with looking at all the generators and trying to decide the direction. And I think that has definitely helped people get started. Okay. So we started to talk innovative ideas. Let's talk some ideas people can take away tomorrow. I'll talk for just a second, and then we'll pass it around. So these gals up here, they were studying the solar system, and I met with the teacher, and she said, I don't want to do the same boring slideshow that we've always done. I want my kids to be able to talk about the planet that they've researched in a really engaging way. And so they, I said, well, let's use character chatbot. Let's go in, talk to an astronaut, because she said, it's going to be impossible to bring an astronaut into class today. I'm just now deciding how to reframe this lesson. So now they can chat with an astronaut. And then I said, okay, so then let's also give them the image generator, and they can generate an image of their planet. And I said, have them put eyes on it, because then we're going to take that image and put it in Adobe Express, and they are going to do the animate with audio and add the lips to the planet. And now all of a sudden they have this talking planet that's their voice. They're middle schoolers. They don't want to be on camera. So they are not shy to talk, but they don't want their face on camera. Well, no problem. Now the planet is talking, and they have 2 minutes only to share the most important things about their planet. And the level of engagement was through the roof. The teacher, she said, I will never go back to teaching this with the boring slideshow where everybody just types in their information. I said, aren't you excited to grade something like this? Wouldn't you be excited to flip through and watch all of these videos? So that's a total highlight from just recently. What about you guys? What's kind of one of your most favorite innovative ideas for use?
Okay, I'll start. I'll just say one, because there's so many, right? You could pick so many. But I just wanted to say this. My little guy in the corner, I didn't want to show his face, but he's up there. He has a really hard time focusing and being motivated, right? He comes in the morning, he's all over the place, but I needed to get him to starting his work on the computer or starting whatever we were doing. So what his favorite thing is telling a joke to our police officer here in the building. So I said, you know what? Every morning before you do anything else, you need to come in. I will have a paper on your desk, like a fun little paper. You got to come in, and you got to go straight to Magic, and you got to go to the joke generator and find the joke to tell our class at morning meeting. Once you get that done, then you may start your morning work or whatever you're doing, or self-start, whatever it is. But once you get that done, so every morning, instead of redirecting, he goes straight to his computer. He finds a joke for the day, and he always, in our room, we have a theme every day. So he always finds a joke based on the theme, and I do not have to ask him to do it. And he will, the other day, we were doing a Dr. Seuss week, and he decided to do one on Sneetches, and it was the funniest joke we had all day. And then today we were allowed to wear pajamas to school, so he decided to do a PJ joke and to go with our day. And so it's just been so fun and so motivating for him, just something silly like that.
Yep, and corrected behavior issues right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a section in PLTW that is on stopping the bleed. And we always, at the end of the year, we have training for Stop the Bleed. So every kid gets trained. So we kind of hit this part in February. We were like, well, there's all these videos on PLTW, but we're really going to do the training later. So this year I decided instead to write a Magic School on Stop the Bleed. And so I actually used your bots. I trained some bots and did some customizing. There was a question there where their bot was an emergency room doctor, and they had to ask him the difference between an arterial vein bleed and a venous bleed, and then ask him how do you deal with them differently in the emergency department. And so they had these series of things where they researched and then used research tools. But I think I picked 4 different things, used some things I never used before. Like, for instance, I don't know if anybody's thought about this. I did the step-by-step. I don't know if either of you guys have used step-by-step, but their job was to learn how blood clots. And so they were given by PLTW a list of words to try to use to build like a concept map. And it seems easy, but it's very hard to build a good concept map. So I had them drop it into Magic step-by-step. And the kids were like, well, wait a minute. It didn't churn out a concept map. I was like, okay, I want you to read. And it was like, okay, number 1, let's put this word at the top and then draw an arrow. And then Magic didn't tell them what to put after the arrow. They said, now, this little part here is where you need to explain about platelets. So take the knowledge you learned earlier about platelets and put that in there. Then let's draw another arrow. And so it gave them the step-by-step instructions to building a concept map. It did not churn one out for them. So there was a huge amount of learning with that. So I have never used that tool before, but it really turned out neat. So I took a lesson again that it's not a bad lesson. It's just the laboratory piece of it we put till later. So it's like book work, and we rarely do stuff like that in Project Lead the Way. So I turned it into a Magic assignment, and it was great. And like you said, the feedback on it turned out really neat. They had to do some things where they had to clip and make some pictures and put in it. And so I got really good work out of them on something that would have been very doldrum. So
that's awesome. I love that they made the map too. Like they took that, they had to do that themselves. I'll do a real quick one. Andrew and I were in East Texas, and again, with researching, we were in a classroom, and the students were, it was Women's History Month, and they were having to, research people. And the teacher that we were with said just the activity and the outcomes were so much better than what she would have done in the past, because the students were able to do that research on their own. And they were finding people in history that, weren't in your typical textbooks or whatever, right? Like they were able to really dive in based on their interests as well. But the project was incredible. And she said that she would never, and she just learned about Magic School like 2 days prior. So she was just like, oh my gosh, it completely changed the way she did the project. But I also want to shout out, and you'll find these on our YouTube channel. Andrew has done a ton of fun, like choose your own adventure games, and like the Oregon Trail games. Those kinds of things can be done with like going to Raina and just, having her help you create those prompts and then putting it into a customized chatbot. But so much interaction with those, gaming type activities with review. Those were a lot of fun too.
Yes, I love that. So if they click Gamify in our show notes on these slides, I linked your YouTube channel so they can check out what Andrew's created, because I too was like, this is amazing. I would love to play Oregon Trail.
So cool. I know.
Well, and I love the fact that he just dropped in that state standards, and it helped.
Yep.
It would help kids really practice those. I just love that. It was super easy.
Yeah. So many ideas. Like you could be doing this 24/7 for sure with a million ideas. Something else we love to talk about is app smashing, and some of our favorites that we talk about nonstop are how we can use Magic School with Adobe Express and Book Creator. I talked briefly about Animate with Audio. We just love that. There's so many possibilities with using that and inserting it in Book Creator and using Magic School to help come up with images. I will tell you really quickly, Dayna has a really cool project with our family and consumer science teacher at the high school, and they're collaborating. And so the books going across the top are actually from the high schoolers' book creator library. They are building squishmallows for Dayna's class. So Dayna's class, they went and designed everything, and now Lauren's students are creating them. But a piece we added this year is the book creator piece, and then also Magic School. So we talked, and I talked to her students about, your 9th through 12th graders, and the way that you speak and the words you use are different than first graders. So we opened a room with the text leveler and the image generator, and they really weren't even, you just speak and you don't realize, okay, maybe a first grader wouldn't understand this, but they were blown away with, pasting what they would say into the text leveler and then asking it to make it readable for first graders. So they loved that, and they loved using the image generator to come up with some images that they thought would be really appealing for their first graders. So they're going to be so excited to get their project, but also get this book that is just a manual. It talks about the great pieces of the project and maybe any issues or struggles they had along the way. So I think they're going to really love to have the manual piece to this. Dayna, what is one of your favorite projects recently?
I cannot wait to see that, by the way. And that's going to happen here in 2 weeks, where we get those projects and get to see those books. So one thing that I would say is I just love showing my kids how to make the images. And then I just throw them into Book Creator, and then they come and write about what they designed, and make a book all together. So like we had an I Spy day for how Y makes the I sound at the end of a word, and they generated their own I Spy like pictures on Magic, and then I dropped them in, and then they had to come in later after into the book on Book Creator and type in what to search for in kind of a rhythm-like way that it does in all the I Spy books. So it really, I think what's great about this is it's actually challenging students. Magic challenges students to think outside the box and be creative. And I think that a lot of people think AI takes away from that creativity, but it actually intensifies it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and my kids, they use Magic way more now to research, not like research paper research. We use some other things for that because you got to have references. But we have found Magic's wonderful because if you ask her to give you with the citations, she will. Then they can go back to that original doc. But they prefer Magic to do research on just like, what is this disorder? What is that? Way over Google now, which, you have to constantly warn them when we're just Googling that, that site's not reputable, or that's not really a great way to, go about this. But we smash it with our daily work, obviously, but I've used it a lot with Book Creator as well. We just finished with eye disorders. So the groups had to not only teach the class about an eye disorder, but they had to include images of what it looked like with the infected eye. But I made them do, they used the image creator. They had to create an image that would show what the field of vision would be with the disorder. And they had to really think that through. I think they thought they would just say, make an image, what it looks like when you have conjunctivitis. And they were like, well, it won't do it. I'm like, no. You need to explain what the field of vision looks like with this. And so it just takes, and it makes, I just think all these apps and these tools just make learning more exciting. And then they're bought in. Or I could lecture about all this stuff and they're napping. But it's rolled the hands of power to them, and gives them an opportunity to explore. And I think that one of the nice things about Magic with those safe guardrails is my kids that are interested, they can go down a rabbit hole and they can continue to be like, wow, that is really fascinating. I want to find out more about this. And it gives us this really nice, safe environment. And I think that's probably one of the biggest misnomers about AI. If I just put them on chat, sure. But if you're using a tool that's designed for a classroom like Magic, we can really learn a lot of stuff in a very safe way where I'm comfortable as the teacher to say, hey, why don't you look it up? Get on Magic and let's find out what it says. I don't know the answer to that. So I love smashing these things. I think that the visuals that you can produce between Adobe and Book Creator, it's lights out the difference between if I gave kids and was like, well, let's draw some pictures or, so that's my thoughts.
Well, I love that you guys kind of highlighted all the way from littles all the way up, because it just really shows the broad spectrum of accessibility for all ages. And so I really appreciate that. And, with our, I did Career Day not too long ago, and we did Founding Fathers. So they were coming up and using the character chatbot to speak their questions. And then we used the read aloud for it to read back to them. So I just really appreciate you guys sharing, just the multi-levels from, conjunctivitis to, just jokes from young ones to start their day. Like, it's just so great to see all the different uses, and it just makes me so happy to hear you guys sharing. So thank you for that.
Yes, I do love it. The number of times I'm in kindergarten classes and all the kids are talking at once into the microphone, but they pick it up and they figure it out, and they're resilient. Yeah. So if it doesn't work the first time, they start over and do it again. And then the next time I'm in their class, they all have it down pat, and they're waiting for their neighbor to talk, and then they talk. And it's totally amazing. So if you're listening today and you've been hesitant to check it out, or you weren't sure it was for you, you can reach out to any of us, and we would be happy to help walk through some awesome use cases with you, because we've been definitely on board for 18 months with us. And it's crazy to think like this is probably the worst version of Magic School that we're ever using, and we're so blown away by it. I mean, it's only going to get better. So Jeni, we cannot thank you enough for being here. We always love having any conversations with you, but especially around AI and Magic School and all the work that you're doing to make learning and teaching more innovative. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thank you for sharing your magic.
Yeah.
It's been great. So we love our partnership with you. So thank you so much. In April, we are going to be visiting with another friend. His name is Andy Knieven, and he is a guru with Canva, and we cannot wait to learn more about Canva through his lens. So we're thankful for that. Our season 3 is coming to an end quickly, and I can't believe it, but you can visit past episodes right there on the screen. It shows you all of that, and the people we've gotten to talk to this year has been absolutely incredible. I feel like we've grown so much, and we hope that if you visit these, you will grow as well. Also in May, we're going to visit with the Merrills and their new book, and it's stacked full of ideas. So it's so fun. We're so thankful for Jeni to be here, but please give us your feedback. Hopefully we shared some ideas that you could run with tomorrow, but maybe you would like to talk to one of us and say, hey, let's collaborate on something, or find a little bit more about that. And you can get a hold of us anytime you like with our information here. So thanks again for tuning in. And you know who we are. We're YaySTEM.